What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I am actually going to be working on the truck again. One of the last things that I'm going to be doing for now, I still want to do some other things to it, things I keep putting off really, is putting on some heavy duty coil springs on the truck. Now, just a little backstory, the truck had coil springs like the heavy duty ones, but a couple years back my brother's driving it and one of the springs just broke somehow, and so right now it has one heavy duty spring on one side and then another OEM spring on the other side. I bought these springs a couple months back. I just never got around to actually doing it. I already went ahead to the tent. We got the LEDs. We already cleaned up the interior real good. But let me go ahead and show you guys the springs. Now, I bought them from a company, what is it, SD Truck Springs. I believe the brand on these is Tough Truck, TUF Truck. And but yeah, supposedly supposed to lift the truck about 1.5 to 2 inches up front. I don't know how much to expect from it, to be honest. This is actually the first time I do this, and so we'll see. We'll take some measurements before what it looks like, and then we'll see after. Alright, so here's the truck. This is how it's sitting currently. Let me see here. See, I guess the gappage we'll be looking at. I guess from where my fingers start right here. Hope this is a good enough reference. It's like the top of the tire. Now the driver's side is the one that has the OEM spring. This side has the heavy duty spring on it. See if there's even a difference here. Oh yeah, there actually is a difference. You guys seeing that? Tiny bit of a difference. I would say maybe 1/2 inch. The truck all jacked up. I put some jacks underneath to keep it safe, and I took off the wheels. And my plan is to not have to use the spring compressors. So I put the jacks on the frame, and so the suspension is just hanging by itself, and I put a little bit of tension underneath with this this jack, and so I'm gonna go ahead and undo the top of the shock, and make sure it's all hanging loose. If anything, I might have to take off the fender liner to get to the top of that bolt there instead of going from on top from underneath the hood, because it's all underneath this AC stuff here. Alright, so I took out the fender liner and was able to get to the top nut on top of the shock here. I'm going to drop the suspension. Dropped it, and now the shock is completely out and there should be no tension. I'm gonna go ahead and take this bolt off, and the spring should be loose. Alright, so the spring is loose. There was no tension on it, and yeah, just gotta get that bottom nut out. Gotta find a socket and a bunch of extensions to come from the top into the bottom. So the nut is actually a 1 1/8, and I got a bunch of extensions there. As you can see, I got the air tools out because I was doing it by hand with a breaker bar, and it's just kind of rusted a little bit. I mean, it turns, but it's just would be a whole lot easier with the air tools. The problem I'm having now is that the bushing that it sits on, the spring, is all dry rotted and real hard and nasty. So I might have to finish this up tomorrow and try to get a new one of these from like Energy Suspension, or probably the factory one from Ford. But I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the driver's side, just so I have everything off. Everything's all taken off, and those isolators, the bushings, no one carries them. Ford would have to order them, which would probably take a few days. They don't have them in stock or anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and order some polyurethane isolators, and probably gonna have to wait like a day extra, but no problem. Alright, so here we have the springs. This is the stock spring. This is slightly bigger. I even put them on the ground. The new one is slightly taller and it's thicker. Slightly taller. Check out the thickness. Camera kind of looks the same. Kind of excited to see what this is gonna look like. Probably slightly taller, and yeah, probably handle the weight better. I don't know, we'll see how they look, but for now it's just a waiting game for the parts to arrive. Alright guys, so it's been a few days. Had to wait for some of the things to get in through shipping, but so this is the setup we're gonna go with. And I talked about the isolators here, the rubber pieces here for the springs. I tried to look for some polyurethane ones, like the stock ones, and I just couldn't find it at all. And Ford wanted about 90 bucks for both of them, and it was just going to be the OEM stuff. And so I found these. I talked it over with my dad. He said, you know what, let's just go ahead and order the 2-inch leveling kit. These are made out of polyurethane, and these have an extension that goes on top of the factory bolt. So this just the extension, this goes on top of it, the spring goes on, and everything goes on as normal. It's a decision that my dad wanted to go with, and so that's what we're going to go ahead and do then. I was actually planning to do this later on, but since I was doing all this work, I went ahead and bought him some Bilstein shocks. Now these aren't like for a lifted truck or anything like that. If you're going to go higher than like 2 inches, then you're going to go with a different shock. So I did a little bit of work with the camera off because it was kind of in my way. Since adding the 2-inch spacer, the spring wouldn't go back up. I couldn't fit it underneath. So what I had to do, I had to drop the sway bar here. Just took off the bracket, which was holding on by 2 bolts, and it dropped even further, and allowed me to go ahead and put the spring on with the help of the jack underneath, jacking it up, and yeah, should be pretty good. Put the strut on, tie it down, and tighten the sway bar back down. Alright, everything's all tightened up. The shock, I don't know if I mentioned it, but you gotta hold the top with the Allen key and tighten the nut with the wrench. And that's just with the Bilsteins. Some of them, well, it might be some other brands, but some of them have the nut in the bottom where you hold it, and then you get the nut on the top. But it just depends on the shock to keep it from spinning, so you can take the nut off. Everything's all tightened up. There the spring is. The sway bar is still loose. You guys can see it right there. It's still loose because it's dropped on the other side, so I could put the spring in on that side. But for this side, everything is all done. I'm gonna go ahead and do the driver side. Well, the only thing I haven't done is the fender liner, but pretty much it's all done. Got everything bolted up, sway bar bolted up, everything looking good. Fender liner in. It's a little bit of a pain to put the fender liner in, but once you figure out the right position and put it in and put it all back, it's pretty easy. That one's all finished. Passenger side all finished up. Fender liner in. Everything's all tightened up. Alright, so here's the top bushing that I'm gonna have to change out right here. Now you can buy these from AutoZone that have the adjustable camber. Well, not really adjustable. It's just you take this one out and set it in, and then it's at a set camber, whatever you buy it to. I would not waste my time, more money on that. If you want to get it perfect, go ahead and buy the bushing that I'm going to be showing you guys. But basically, to take this off, you got a bolt and a nut on one side. Take that off, kind of put like a little chisel or something here, just widen it a little bit, hit it with the hammer, and this should slide right out. So here is the bushing, the adjustable one. That's all it is. I think they were 20 bucks each. Obviously you're going to need two of them, one for each side. There's the part number, K8986 camber kit from Moog. Alright, so camber kit is right on there. Just had a little bit of a hard time putting it on because I thought it was going on crooked, but nah, it was actually going on correct because it is kind of slanted, and so yeah, just give it a good hit with the hammer and it just slid right on. But everything's all tightened up. Just going to throw the wheel on, take it off the jack, and should be good to go. Just going to do the other side. Heavy duty springs, Bilstein shocks, got a polyurethane 2-inch leveling kit with the camber kit from Moog, and all good to go. Here we got the truck with the wheels put on. Now I know that I did a little reference of how tall the truck was with the other springs, but now we got all these other mods on it with the shocks, the springs, 2-inch spacer, and but if that would help any. I know at first I just planned to do the springs, but one thing led to another. That's what it's looking like. Pretty much almost my whole hand fits in here. I don't know, probably 6-inch. Probably right there. And also one of the other things that my dad did extra, I don't know if you're able to see anything, but the rear ball joint has been changed out. The tie rod's been changed out. You can see you see the camber kit spacer in there, spring. But yep, a lot of work put in here. The alignment has been done. Alignment was way off, but now everything's all straight. It feels like a whole different truck now. A lot more solid feel to it, and you just obviously you're sitting higher up, which gives you better visibility. Just real quick, Front suspension all done. Window tint. If you guys saw the other videos of what the truck looked like, big improvement on this truck. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for this little episode. If you guys watched the last few videos of me working on the truck, giving back to my dad, and you know, just giving back the best way I know how. But overall, I'm pretty satisfied actually more than satisfied of how the truck came out. You know, it drives great, it feels good to be in, it's clean. You know, if someone gets inside, it's not something where you're looking around if it's okay to sit on the, you know, on the seat, because it might have some stains or just be dirty. But as a driver and as a passenger, it's a good experience just to be inside of the truck, you know, and just bringing it back to life. But hopefully you guys liked this video. Go ahead and give it a big thumbs up if you liked it. If not, give it a thumbs down. I really don't care. But I got more projects on the way as always, so make sure you hit that subscribe button to be updated with the latest videos. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Alright?